Holy shit. He said what?
Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
It was a dreadful thing to do and actually completely wrong. He is quite hard and harsh.
He became hypersensitive and blamed the media for the crashes of his relationship.
People like Meghan will always stay with the man if there's no better option.
What if I told you the very future of the British monarchy, an institution dripping with centuries of tradition, untouchable bloodlines, and royal history, wasn't under fire because of politics or war, but because of two people who thought royal duty was nothing more than a Netflix pitch? That's right, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have dragged the crown into a place it has never been before. These two, the same couple who once screamed for privacy, have turned their lives into the biggest PR circus the royal family has ever seen. The irony is too much. People who begged for the world to leave them alone can't stop pushing their own glossy dramas, memoirs, and reality TV-style productions onto us.
Meghan is using everything for publicity and not really truly there. We know how she treats her family and friends.
And here's the kicker. For all their grandstanding, for all their speeches about truth and transparency, when it comes to the single most important detail, their children, Harry and Meghan serve up nothing but silence, staged smiles, and contradictions. Meghan strutted into the royal family like she was auditioning for Hollywood's biggest role. And Harry? He followed her out like a lovesick understudy, ready to ditch centuries of tradition for photo ops in California, podcast deals no one listens to, and endless PR stunts. They've branded themselves as rebels, as victims, as martyrs fighting against a cruel institution. But when you strip away the speeches and the sob stories, all they've really done is cash in on the family name while dodging the simplest expectation of all, basic transparency. And now, Angela Levin drops a bombshell, one so explosive it rips apart everything they've tried to build. She raises questions no royal watcher ever dared to say aloud. What do we really know about Archie and Lilibet?
Anna treated her children. It was very important to care about people and not to think about themselves, and that money didn't matter very much. What did matter was to look after people.
Suddenly, their empire of excuses starts to collapse. Harry's furious legal threats don't scream strength. They reek of panic. Meghan's silence? That doesn't look like dignity. It looks like cold, calculated avoidance. The royal couple who thought they could outmaneuver the monarchy now find themselves boxed in by the one thing they thought they had escaped forever: accountability. And let's not sugarcoat it, this scandal isn't just about them. It's about whether the monarchy itself can survive the storm they've unleashed. Then came their wedding anniversary. Everyone braced for the usual PR circus, an overproduced Netflix photo dump, maybe a glossy press release begging the world to care. But what did we get? Nothing. No royal tributes, no glowing headlines, not even a pity post from their Hollywood friends. The silence wasn't golden. It was deafening. For a couple who once positioned themselves as the new Diana and Charles rewriting the rulebook, they've now faded into the background like yesterday's tabloid leftovers. Meghan, the self-styled Duchess of Disruption, couldn't even post a staged Instagram shot to prove her fairy tale was still intact. And Harry? He looked less like a prince and more like a man realizing his great escape ended in a California cul-de-sac.
Is so odious, it's beyond belief.
Absolute media manipulation. But I thought tonight this was really ridiculous. These are two real imposters.
Yes, the couple who demanded the world's attention suddenly found themselves ignored. Their anniversary reduced to a footnote no one even noticed. But this silence didn't just humiliate them, it laid the perfect stage for something far, far worse. Because when the cameras stopped flashing and the headlines stopped flattering, Angela Levin stepped into the spotlight. And she didn't whisper, she didn't hedge, she detonated. With decades of experience and the authority of someone who has seen royal scandals come and go, Leven dropped a truth bomb sharp enough to slice through their carefully crafted facade. She said what millions had quietly suspected but never dared to say aloud. Archie and Lilibet's parentage may not be as straightforward as Harry and Meghan would like us to believe. It was brutal. The couple who built their empire on our truth suddenly found the truth weaponized against them. And the timing couldn't have been worse. Their media credibility was already hanging by a thread after failed Spotify Spotify deals, flopped Netflix ratings, and endless PR spin. Levin's revelation turned that fragile thread into a noose. Whispers of surrogacy, secrecy, and deception began flooding in. And make no mistake, Leven wasn't gossiping with malice. She exposed with experience.
But if she hasn't had the children herself, or Harry hadn't been involved, then they can't be in the royal line. They have to have royal blood, those little ones. Without that, there's no chance of them becoming a member of the royal family.
She framed her words around the question everyone else was too afraid to ask. Why were there no transparent hospital moments? No clear documentation? No adherence to centuries-old traditions that every royal mother before Meghan respected? The answer was silence. And in the world of royalty, silence is the loudest scream of all. This wasn't just a rumor. Levin's bombshell was a direct shot at legitimacy. The kind of accusation no Netflix special, no Oprah interview, no glossy magazine cover could ever wipe away. Harry, the soldier who once claimed he could handle anything, suddenly looked fragile, desperate. Instead of stepping up with evidence, he fell back on the oldest spoiled royal tactic in the book, threatening to sue. Yes, the man who left the palace to escape toxic press now leans on lawyers like a crutch whenever the narrative slips out of his control. The irony? Delicious. Legal threats don't kill a rumor, they feed it. The moment Harry went ballistic at Leven, people didn't think, oh, poor Harry. They thought, what is he hiding? A real leader, a secure father, would have crushed the whispers with proof. But Harry, he went red-faced, tantrum-ready, looking less like a royal son and more like a celebrity caught lying on late-night TV. And Meghan, the self-proclaimed warrior queen, she was nowhere to be found. No statements, no defense, just silence, leaving Harry swinging wildly, fists in the dark.
Silence everybody and just produce a DNA sample or proof of delivery.
And the harder Harry swung, the weaker he looked. Every furious letter from his lawyers, every veiled threat only added oxygen to Angela Levin's fire. He didn't silence her. He proved her point. He looked terrified. Terrified that the truth might finally escape the shadows. Because let's face it, rage without receipts isn't strength. It's desperation. And Harry's desperate tantrums didn't bury the story. They guaranteed it would spread like wildfire. And then came the ugliest 3 letters of all, DNA. The one thing that could end every whisper, every conspiracy, every tabloid headline instantly. One simple test. But for Harry and Meghan, it was like kryptonite. Journalists, commentators, even some royal sympathizers who once defended them began demanding proof. Not staged photos, not glossy Netflix montages, cold scientific truth, but the Sussex camp stayed silent, and that silence spoke volumes. This time, the spotlight didn't fall on Archie. It landed squarely on Lilibet. Her very name, tied directly to the late Queen Elizabeth herself, was supposed to symbolize continuity, honor, royal bloodline. Instead, it became the centerpiece of doubt. Was Lilibet even Meghan's biological child? Or was she just another carefully curated piece in the Sussex brand machine? The whispers grew louder, and suddenly the entire line of succession looked like smoke and mirrors.
In this case, about whether you think the birth was real, whether you think there was a surrogate, whether you think Meghan was wearing a moon bump, the fact is, Harry and Meghan lied. Buckingham Palace lied on their behalf. There was a complete cover-up over the birth of Prince Archie.
Meanwhile, Harry stomped and fumed like a man cornered, yet still he refused the simplest, most obvious way out. One swab, one test, one undeniable answer. Instead, he doubled down on secrecy, dragging Meghan deeper into the murk with him. And Meghan? She stayed in the shadows, letting Harry flail publicly while she remained silent. But her silence didn't look dignified, it looked guilty. Every unanswered question, every dodged moment, only made the whispers roar louder. DNA had become the very symbol of truth, and their refusal to confront it made their entire brand look like a lie. For centuries, royal mothers followed an unspoken script: give birth, step outside those hospital doors, and present the child to the nation. Exhausted, makeup smudged, but honest. Kate Middleton did it 3 times, and each time the transparency mattered. It reassured the public. But Meghan shredded that script. No hospital steps, no real transparency, just smoke and mirrors, awkwardly staged photo ops, a baby bump that seemed to change shape depending on the camera angle. It looked less like royal duty and more like the finale of a reality TV season. And Harry? He stood there grinning beside her, hoping no one would notice the giant plot holes in their story. But people did notice. Oh, they noticed. They noticed the secrecy, the odd angles of those carefully staged photographs, the absence of medical medical bulletins that once reassured the world? Those gaps became the breeding ground for the ugliest rumors of all. Whispers of surrogacy, staged imagery, a couple desperate to control a narrative slipping from their grasp.
Palace is being pressured to remove Prince Archie and Princess Elizabeth from the UK's royal line of succession until the Duchess provides absolute proof that she popped out both babies herself.
Meghan, who once branded herself as a champion of authenticity, has instead become the face of artificiality. Harry, who used to mock the press for pushing conspiracies, now looks like the central character in one. By tossing centuries-old traditions into the shredder, they didn't modernize the monarchy, they undermined it. Every inconsistency, every evasion, every carefully staged stunt only added gasoline to the fire they lit. Instead of silencing doubts, they turned themselves into permanent suspects in a scandal of their own making. And this is where gossip crosses into danger. Because when Harry and Meghan chose secrecy over tradition, they didn't just break rules, they cracked the very foundation of royal legitimacy. The monarchy lives and dies on bloodlines, on an unbroken chain of birthrights stretching back centuries. By cloaking their children's origins in mystery, Harry and Meghan put that chain at risk. Meghan, who once paraded herself as the fresh modern face of royalty, now looks like the architect of its undoing. Her silence isn't strength, it's suspicion. Every time she refuses to speak, people don't see dignity, they see guilt. And Harry? The prince who was born into privilege but never carried its weight, now looks like a liability. His tantrums and legal threats don't show a proud father defending his family. They show a man desperately shielding a fragile secret. The longer they dodge transparency, the more the whispers solidify into public belief. And this scandal isn't just about Archie and Lilibet, it's about the throne itself. Angela Levin didn't just drop her bombshell and walk away. She twisted the knife. She warned that if Harry dares drag this into a courtroom, it could be catastrophic. Because here's the reality. Courtrooms don't bow to royal titles or celebrity contracts. They demand receipts, medical records, DNA, the very things Harry and Meghan seem terrified of. For a couple obsessed with controlling their own narrative, the thought of a judge forcing their truth into the light must feel like their worst nightmare. But Levin wasn't done. She hinted she had more, much more, evidence, information, maybe even ammunition waiting to be unleashed. And while Harry continued swinging at shadows, the real damage was already being done, in plain sight.
What I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013 onwards, when her marriage had crashed and she couldn't find anyone in Canada at the time. And she wanted wealth and she wanted fame. And she targeted, there's no doubt she targeted Harry.
The cracks in Harry and Meghan's empire were suddenly impossible to hide. Media giants, once tripping over themselves to cash in on the Sussex brand, began quietly backing away. Contracts started collapsing. Credibility evaporated. That golden couple of Montecito, they began to look more like a bad investment than a royal fairy tale. Meghan, who styled herself as Hollywood's new queen, suddenly found doors closing. Invitations that once poured in, drying up. Projects she thought were guaranteed, shelved. Harry, who believed his royal name alone would open every door, was smacked by a brutal truth. The name guarantees nothing when the public stops believing in you. Angela Levin's warning wasn't just personal. It was a spotlight on their unraveling empire. If Harry truly drags this scandal into a courtroom, it won't just be their reputations on the line. They won't just lose face. They could lose everything. Their downfall isn't just about a feud with the press. It's about trust. It's about transparency. It's about whether the crown can survive heirs clouded in secrecy and suspicion. Harry once declared he was leaving the monarchy to protect his family. But look at the reality. His actions have done more damage to that monarchy than any scandal in decades. Meghan once promised to modernize the royals. Instead, she might be remembered as the woman who destabilized them. And the whispers don't fade, they grow louder. Was it surrogacy? Was it secrecy? Was it just a couple so desperate to control a narrative that they forgot the one thing royalty can never hide from? Truth? The truth, after all, always comes out. And when it does, it doesn't care about Netflix contracts, celebrity friends, or palace PR. The truth cuts through everything. So here they stand. Harry, furious and flailing. Meghan, silent and shadowy. Two people who thought they could outsmart tradition but instead look cornered by it. Two people who tried to sell our truth but now run from the truth. And for the monarchy, for the crown, for the very idea of royal legitimacy, the stakes couldn't be higher, because this isn't just Harry and Meghan's scandal anymore. It's the monarchy's. And if they think this storm is over, they're wrong. This is only the beginning.